showing just that they lose when they step in the game. Everyone knows my name. Doctor Strange, who, Spider-Ham, maybe, and Black Widow, on a secret mission to stop the villain. Dance of Death is the main event. Unless I'm Rocket Raccoon, no time to be rude. Oh wait, I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. They say it's a little bit slow, but I'm all about control. When I stun and confused, cause there's no way I would lose. I flip up and down, villains stand around till I'm ready or not. This combo ready to drop 20, 30 damages and cannon Hulk smash. I'm a bash, put him in the trash and call it a match. Let's step up in the portal or get up in game. Dead Winnie the Nelson, so keep it locked and watching. I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. They call me Desperate Gaming, he's an animal. Watch him play, expert 2, standard 2. Clowning you, villains with every aspect I choose. And showing just that they lose when they step in the game. Everyone knows my name. Doctor Strange, who, Spider-Ham, maybe, and Black Widow, on a secret mission to stop the villain. Dance of Death is the main event. Unless I'm Rocket Raccoon, no time to be rude. Oh wait, I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. They say it's a little bit slow, but I'm all about control. When I stun and confused, cause there's no way I would lose. I flip up and down, villains stand around till I'm ready or not. This combo ready to drop 20, 30 damages and cannon Hulk smash. I'm a bash, put him in the trash and call it a match. Let's step up in the portal or get up in game. Dead Winnie the Nelson, so keep it locked and watching. I'm a superhero, always willing to go to blow with crimes to save so many lives. A stud is do or die. Marvel champions, you a champion. I'm champion, we are champions. I'm a superhero, always willing to...
Hello everybody, welcome to Descry Gaming. I'm Descry. I'm here to do another kind of pick your brain topic for Marvel Champions, and that's going to be about future ideas. Now, I'm not saying I got the best ideas or, I've got it all figured out, but I thought this is an interesting topic, and I love to hear your thoughts either in comments or chat or whatnot. What do you think and how do you feel about this conversation? And so when we talk about, where the game is and where you want the game to go, and, some really interesting content creators too that I can think of the top of my head, like Maurice Andrews, where he had a concept of really embracing the campaign structure, but making it more of choices that can really impact your play within the campaign, and meaning like your decks or your heroes might have different endings or different maybe cards would be put into your deck based on a certain choice in a scenario that you take. And I thought that was a really interesting idea. But again, I think it boils down to also not everyone is in love with the campaign structure of Marvel Champions. I think there is many people that just like to play, one-offs and customize it with a modular that they like, and they're not really into the lore or the the flavor text. And then I think you have other players that are more into the lore, and they want a setting, they want to be feel like they're going on an adventure, which is interesting because you had games like Lord of the Rings LCG, and that game was very campaign driven. Each box set had its own kind of fingerprint, and so there was no one-offs in that. That was strictly kind of a campaign-driven card game, living card game. Oh my gosh, I got like a piece of fluff like dangling somewhere in my tongue. Like I can feel it. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where like a piece of I think I got it, like a piece of hair or something. Yeah, like I can feel it on my tongue, but that's just completely random. But it was really bothering me. I think I got it. Where was I? Man, that totally threw me off. Live stream. Here we go. Yes, I was talking about Lord of the Rings living card game and the way that game was built around. But yeah, Marvel Champions is its own unique creature, and it's getting very popular. And I think this is a very telltale point of its lifespan, right? It's I think it's reached a pretty high pinnacle that for the most part it's been successful, and you've got a fairly big community around it. And I think at this point, the dev team is going to just decide how, because here's the thing, and how I mentioned Maurice's idea and stuff, that, that's just to get the thoughts out there. But, they can't just keep doing the same thing. They have to kind of slightly innovate their games every box set or hero set. Because think about it, would you still be playing the game, still be buying everything if they made every hero almost the same? Like they weren't even trying per se, they were just kind of copying, this hero and just adding a couple different things and not really changing. Because I think the one thing they've done really well in this game, and I think most people agree with me, is that the heroes have their identity. When you play Thor, or when you play Spider-Man, or when you play Star-Lord, they really nail that kind of feel and identity. And I think we can talk about balancing and Doctor Strange and Hulk, and that's not what I want to talk about today. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to this game, obviously they have their strengths. I would say their strengths in this game so far that I've seen is making characters feel very fun to play, but giving them that identity of who they are. And you hear that in a lot of interviews that they give, like, they knew their powers, they knew their personality, and they wanted to implement that in their cards and the way they feel. And I think for the most part, they do treat that very well. And they obviously put a lot of time and thought into that. So that's never been their weak point. Yes, in the beginning of the lifespan, they struggled with balancing a little bit, but I think at this point they've gotten like very, very well polished. And for the most part, they never had a Doctor Strange. I don't think they've made that mistake of another Doctor Strange. I mean, you could say, I know some people put Spider-Ham up there, but I think for the most part they're aware of these things, and they haven't released like another Hulk, although like in a long time. How would multiple man mechanics work because he can clone himself? June writes in chat. If they came out with multiple man hero, I don't understand your question. Like, are you talking about if they implemented him as a hero? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, talk a little bit about the future of the game, and my main point was that I think they're at a critical step in the game's lifespan, because they have to decide where they're going to go with this game. Like, and as a start, I'd make multiple man hero non-unique. Yeah, obviously. Maybe they have to errata something. I don't know. Or but we're gonna talk more about ideas, and I love that you guys are already starting to kind of chime in about some things. I like that, because it's gonna make the stream a lot more easier to do. Because I don't have all the ideas in the world, but I wanted to stress a couple things before we dive into the future and my predictions and whatnot. But what I'm trying to point out, I'm not getting my point across, is that they're gonna have to. The next few box sets are going to dictate what direction they're going with this game. And it should be very interesting. And I'm very, one way I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you guys, because I do like the game a lot. And I'm just nervous that they might just play it safe and not really, because I think, in my opinion, I think they have to not be afraid and really trust their gut instinct with this game. And they have to take the training wheels off and just run with it. And I mean, from them releasing Deadpool, it looks like the training wheels are off and they're just letting their imagination fly, which gives me hope that they'll continue to broaden the game in all different aspects and ways. And so that's my hope. That's my hope for the game. I just want them not to be afraid to innovate and maybe try a one-off. Like, if they're a little scared about changing the game too much, the game itself, maybe just do like more of a one-off where you really change the game of maybe Marvel Champions, just to see how people react to something maybe more different. And some ideas I was thinking about, like, maybe we need another status effect. Now, I don't know how people feel about that. Like, I know we have Stun, Confuse, and Tough. How do people feel about introducing like a new status token? Would that be too bad? Would that muck up the game? Do you think Moon Knight will have multiple identities? Very interesting questions. We don't even know if Moon Knight's going to be put in, but let's focus on the broader issue, right? So my challenge for you guys is, because I thought it might be a good time to give us another status. By doing that, you could create that new traded word and open up more deck building and different tactics, right? Here's now again, this is just a proof of concept. I'm not saying I want them to do exactly like this, but I was thinking, why don't we have like an injury status card, and it can affect the villain in a certain way and affect the hero in a certain way. So, like, for instance, if the hero gets an injury, so say if there's the villain gets the traded word injury, or their treachery, or I don't know, use your imagination. But if they take damage, so this would make protection players more valuable, because they can sometimes mitigate damage for other players and themselves. But anyways, if they take damage during this trait activation or whatnot, you are injured. So you get an injury status on your hero. What that will do is, for one, it will make any cards that you play cost 1 extra. And the only way to get rid of the injury token is to flip to alter and exhaust. One complaint I know people would say a lot with just on expert is they don't really have to use their rec that much. Yeah, that's oh, hey Kevin, that's a good idea too. Yeah, so guys, keep the chat streaming. This is all about us just, talking about ideas and stuff. Because you know what, as much as people think, you never know. Maybe Caleb Tony checks this video out, sees your chat message. This is our opportunity to put this on YouTube. And I know my channel is kind of small, and maybe there's not a small chance that they're going to even watch this video, but you never know. You can always be hopeful. But so that's just a proof of a concept, guys. I know there might be some people push back on, oh, Descry, that's a terrible idea. Injury status. What are you talking about? Heroic Skeleton said we had a discussion last week about freeze status last week with Iceman. Yeah. So again, I think it would be a guys, I'm on board with that. Let's bring in another status. I mean, we've had stun and confuse since the core days, and nothing new has happened. And I don't know if it's kind of thing like, well, we don't want to add something new because that's our base game. Our base game should only have the status. You could put they're just little, what are they? They're very inexpensive. I mean, I don't see how they could add it. They could add it to an expansion box. Well, like I said, the injury status is just an idea, right? I'm just kind of throwing out some type of idea out there. Obviously, you could tailor it, tinker that kind of traded status, and we can come up with ideas for it. But my main concept is, I would love to see another status added to the game. And that could affect the villain in some sort of way and affect the heroes in some sort of way. And like I said, one area where people kind of complained that a lot of times they weren't having to use their rec at all. And this would be another puzzle piece in a game that you're battling the villain, where now you have to flip to alter because you don't want to be injured, because it's going to cost you a lot of economy to play events. It's going to slow your tempo down. So that's just an idea. But again, it forces the players to do something that they're not normally doing, which is using their rec. Or maybe you could tie in the rec number to something, like there's another idea. One thing I thought they could add one that you can't flip to alter ego and you can't push the villain to the next stage. Yeah, I mean, they had the Sentinel modular that sort of kind of did that, June. I like the idea of something that encouraged use of rec. Yeah, I agree. I think rec has been kind of a blasé type of stat that, for the most part, especially on lower difficulties, you're not using it. Higher difficulties are those scenarios where you have to deal a lot of indirect damage. Yeah, you tend to use your rec stat a little bit more, but I think, and here's the thing, the devs are super creative. I mean, me just talking about just general ideas and us getting, some things out there in the ether, I'm pretty sure they could be like, you know what, that's not a bad sort of idea, but then they could tailor it and make it way better than what I'm talking about. But going back to my main intro point is, I really hope that they don't get cold feet and be like, no, we're not going to innovate the game too much. And I don't think they're going that route, because if they were, they would not release Deadpool. Deadpool, in fact, I think it has bothered some of the people in the player community, at least on Reddit. I mean, there's a lot of grumpy people on Reddit, no offense. But there were some people kind of ticked off and saying very negative things about the Deadpool aspect. Oh, I'm going to hard pass on that, and, I think those people, honestly, I don't think they represent all of us on the Marvel community. I think a lot of us are excited for Deadpool. I'm excited for this new Deadpool aspect. Yeah, those are all really good. Tough status that goes on schemes. We'll call it something else. Yeah, that's it. Heroic. I like that idea. That's very interesting. So then you got something that changes the meta a little bit for, dealing with scheme. But yeah, the main point I would say, guys, is that, and it goes back to that other video I briefly talked about in my burnt out video, that right now you have the villain either kills you or he threats out the main. Those are like the two main ways the villain wins in most cases, right? And if we look at Marvel Champions, how it plays, that's sort of how it plays. It'd be really interested if they could somehow make a third way for the villain to go about a win. I want to read this. They could add one that called days that you can't play any cards, but a way to discard the status effect to discard your hold hand. So I would say I think if they somehow came up with a way to incorporate maybe a third way that the villain can defeat the heroes, more in a general sense to the game itself, I think that would be a welcome thing. Because I mean, so once you start adding like more broader systems in the game, it opens up other channels for the game to evolve. If you have it very, narrow channeled, I'm trying to explain the words here. You can't, you're stuck in that channel, right? For creativity. So all I'm trying to say is, I think they should just go for it. The game's been out for a long time. Let's push the game a little bit more. Let's test new things out. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm hoping they are doing with the future content, that they're going to really not be afraid to pull that trigger. And whether that's doing something like Maurice Andrews talked about, or some other content creators had some good ideas. I know in the community, people have some good ideas. But I think ultimately they need to not be afraid to like add another status into the game, or add some more trait words. Like I mentioned about vengeful. So if a minion has vengeful trait, if you kill that minion, the villain will activate. So I think that changes, maybe how you go about killing minions. Maybe you want to stun that minion because you don't want the villain to activate on you. So now you're doing more statuses on a minion. We need more environment cards that can help the villain or help your hero. Well, here's the thing. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of environments, and I'll tell you why. I'm okay with the environments that can be interacted by players. So meaning that you can pay resources, discard it, or do something to discard it. I don't like environments that sort of just stick on the play mat and they're just there for the entire game, unless they have some way of cycling from different environments, like Mojo Mania and stuff like that. But to name one that I hate, and I like Standard 2, I like Expert 2, but I despise Formidable Foe. Formidable Foe, to me, I think was just a bad idea from them. So let me explain. I understand what they were trying to do with Formidable Foe. Give a weaker villain. Say you're playing a weaker villain. You want to up the difficulty. You play Standard 2, Expert 2. You throw a Formidable Foe environment into play. The problem with that is it really hurts some heroes that really rely on the status play, right? So Hawkeye, Spider-Woman, heroes that have it in their toolkit and they want to put a stun, they want to put a confuse, and they want those things because either they have lower HP, lower defenses. They need that help from those statuses to do their thing. And so when you put in that environment in, it causes me as a player to be like, no, I'm not going to play Hawkeye. I'm not going to play Spider-Woman. I'm going to play, a hero that doesn't rely on statuses. So I think that's bad game design. Now, if you could interact with Formidable Foe and find a way, if there was a procedure that you had to do or pay a penalty to discard it, I would be totally fine with it, because at least I can interact with it. I can somehow pay some sort of price, and now I can, Spider-Woman or Hawkeye can do their thing and do their status control stuff. But no, it's permanent. You can't interact with that at all. And, I get, like, I understand the concept of it, right? Because some villains, their weaknesses is being stun locked and confuse locked. They could also really expand what you can do with Thorpe by a lot. It's still very limited in comparison to damage. Yes. And thank you for sharing that, Heroic. And that goes back to what I'm saying is that they need to really open up the game more. Like, you have a great game. You have, people know how to play it. You thwart, you attack, you try to stay alive, you flip to altar when you have to, get more cards, you're safer, then you go back, you have to stop the villain from doing his evil scheme. But, we want them to, to go a little bit further. And a good example of that is like, they've introduced player size schemes, but again, that's more on the player side. And I love it. I love player size schemes. I think it's a great addition. And I think the player size scheme meta will get better and better as they release more cards. But they need to also work on the villain side, the encounter decks, and the mechanisms and systems of the game. But I really think they should. I'm hoping that they'll release another status effect. And you guys had some really good ideas like freeze. My idea was injury. So maybe new traits. I had another wild idea, which just dawned to me as I was clicking starting my stream. The other one I thought to myself, maybe like a legendary type of. So let me explain. You're probably like, what, legendary? So I was thinking, and this is just a proof of concept. It's not, obviously, this is like just drawing board doodle of just trying to come up with some type of idea and then refining this, right? So maybe a legendary ally, or you could do a legendary minion or something. But basically, these would be amped up type of like super allies or super minion. And but to get them, you would have to do a lot of work to get them. Like you couldn't just play them. I don't know. Again, guys, don't shoot me. You might say that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. I'm just saying, let's go into a fun direction with the game. Let's come up with something, play test it. Obviously, my biggest thing is it could be fun and interesting, but it has to follow that graph of difficult, balance, such and such. Speaking of player size scheme, that just reminded me that I've also thought about the idea of player minions. Not sure if that makes sense thematically. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, Heroic Skeleton. So you're talking about there being some type of quest counter for the villain or something that kind of, if this thing explodes or whatever, it's going to do something kind of like a player size scheme, but for the villain or something like that. I mean, that could, but like all these ideas, obviously, they have to sort of be play tested within Marvel Champions. But I guess the big takeaway for this video, because I know we're all over the place and people, I love that you guys are giving cool ideas. But my main takeaway of this video is they need to be progressive with this game. They need to not tiptoe and do just tiny changes. I think it's now or never. You have a big player base for it. They like the content, but again, don't just revert to just, let's just do everything simple and let's not really change the game that much. I think that will be the downfall of this game. That will be my prediction. If they don't, I really think they need to keep going forward with this game in different ways and evolving it, making it better and better. And yes, there's going to be, I think, some difficult choices that they're going to have to make. But ultimately, I think they just got to trust their guts. And, if it's fun and it's challenging and it meets a lot of these checkmark criteria, go for it, and they have the talent, like Tony Caleb, the playtesters. They have a good group of playtesters. I think this is a good team of that they have. How about a scheme or minion that you have to defeat before you can defeat the villain? Yeah, and here's the thing. Some of these ideas, they've sort of have modulars for these things that we're talking about. But So I think that will probably be mentioned in the comments, probably in this video. So I just want to kind of point that out. But like, I guess my big takeaway here is really changing the game, like a new status, maybe a new system mechanism for the villain, maybe like a player size game. I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is something that is not done in a modular, but is more that evolves the whole game itself. Now, will it be compatible from all the way back to the core box? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, unless it's really dynamic and different, but everything they've released have always been compatible back to the core. So they've never had anything they released that hasn't been fully compatible. So I think that should be fine. So, I mean, I wanted to also update you guys. Like, I mean, this is not going to be a super long stream. I really just wanted to do a video, kind of stress how I feel about the game and what I hope for the future. And I wanted to really get your guys' ideas, and you know, those that are seeing this not live, write in the comments. And you know, I read every comment, and more importantly, maybe I bring up that comment in a future video. You know, I'll give you a shout out. But I know there's some really smart people in the community that play the game a lot, that don't really have a big channel, but you have good ideas. So I mean, this is a good way. I'm your what do you call it, messenger. You know, I'll be your messenger. So yeah, I would love to pick your brain, you know, write in the comments. Or maybe you're not feeling what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't want the game to be changed that much. Write it in the comment. Explain to me why you don't want the game to change at all, or you want it very little change. Please don't use the Brant and grandma thing though, because that's like a meme joke now. Like, only grandma and the kids play the game. So therefore, we don't need any innovation. I love Brant. That keeps playing in my head all the time, because there was that one famous live stream. We were talking about the game, and Brant's like, "How popular you think this game is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's pop." And then somehow it went into he thinks that that it's like 90%, 80% pre-con people, and it's like grandma and the kids playing. Which who knows? Maybe this is a conspiracy. Maybe that's true. And there's just a whole bunch of like grade school kids playing this game with their grandmas sitting at the lunch table. I love this game though. This game is good. Okay, so update. I am gonna try to cover the news that gets dropped on November 2nd, I think. I don't know if is that the official news drop of the expansion preview. But yeah, we're going to do if it is, I'm going to do a live coverage on my channel. I am trying to see if I can team up with another content creator so we could do live responses. So I'm in the works of trying to, you know, try to team up with somebody. So it's not just DesCry, but 2 other maybe content creators on Thursday. Great. I'm off on Thursday. That's going to be awesome. So I'm going to be hyped up. Again, I'm going to be as raw and real as I can. So if I go through this whole preview and I don't see anything that really grabs my attention, I'll be dead honest with you guys. I'll call it how it is. I'm not going to brown nose my way up with FFG and just say, "Oh, I love it. It's great. It's fantastic." So you want the real rawness of a response video that is no boundaries, come to my channel. You'll get the raw, honest response from me. Again, though, it's through my spectacles. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We also have X23 and Deadpool coming soon. I do want to kind of drop some like deck guides and let's talk Deadpool, let's talk X23, because those were, you know, we did a let's talk Psylocke that did a really good job there. But yeah, so guys, again, this is not a long stream. It's kind of a short video. I'm gonna kind of end it here. But my main thing is how I feel about this game right now and where I think they should go with the game. They gotta be not afraid to take chances, I believe, because the game's been out for a while now, And like I said, I just hope that the momentum that I see right now with Deadpool and that creative part that I see, I hope they continue to do that. And I think Thursday is going to be a big test because, I mean, let's be honest, if there's nothing really big there in that box set, that to me, I think that's a telltale sign that maybe they're putting the brakes on the game as far as like big changes and stuff. But I mean, if it's Apocalypse, it sounds really like, I mean, that's going to be far out. I mean, I'm hyped about Apocalypse. I can't imagine that they're going to oopsie daisy Apocalypse. Like, they got to make him, at least they got to try to shoot for the stars with him. If there's any villain that they need to get right in that box set, it has to be Apocalypse. They have to pay him respect, make him a difficult foe, but fun, right? Okay, so that's why I want to stress. I'm not saying I want Apocalypse to smash every Marvel Champion hero. I'm just saying is, like, let's make this villain, very tough, fair, but very cool, like with his mechanics. But don't make him weak on the weak sauce. Like, not like Strife. Please don't give us another Strife. Strife was cool, but he just didn't have the power behind it. He had the weak sauce. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end it here. Again, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for your comments. Again, please like, subscribe so we pump this video up. And more importantly, I'm going to be paying attention to comments. So, because this is going to be a jumping point for our next video. This is more me just kind of putting my challenge out to the community. And let's talk about the future. Do you want Marvel Champions to just go at a snail's pace of changes and micro changes? Do you want a big sweeping changes, or do you want them to go in directions that you never thought about? Kind of like Deadpool, So these are things that I'm calling each one of you, and I want to hear from you, and let's discuss this, and then maybe we do a follow-up video from this video, and especially after the preview of the next box set. So we're gonna have a lot more info. And we'll see if maybe some comments were right. Let's predict some things. Let's suggest some things. And then we'll see when the dust settles. We'll see everything. But that being said, I'm going to sign off, guys. Again, thank you guys for subscribing and your likes and your comments. I will see you next time. Goodbye.